We cooking, baby. So what I'm gonna take you guys through is basically my standard meal prep. Every day for at least lunch, I will usually have a prepped meal instead of, cooking something on the fly. I find that it saves a lot of time, makes things a lot easier, and makes things a lot healthier if you prepare a healthy meal to begin with. So what I'm making is good old chicken and veggies. When I first started doing meal prep a long time ago, I had tried to do chicken and rice, and that actually didn't work out for me. I found that, first of all, the rice, when you store it in the fridge, if you cook a bulk amount of rice, you store it in the fridge, anybody that likes rice knows, it gets gross when you put it in the fridge. It gets hard and it feels like sand, it's nasty. So I thought, okay, well obviously the chicken is a good protein. Sometimes I do beef, whatever other meat is available in my house usually. What can I use to replace this carb? And I thought the obvious answer is vegetables. And so I went to my grocery store, got a whole bunch of fresh broccoli, and I was cooking with that for a while, and it went pretty well. Problem was, it's fresh broccoli, it's a little more expensive, and not as easy to get in bulk. So I went to local Walmart, got this big bad boy. This is, I believe, 3 pounds of vegetables, and I combined that with buying more stuff in bulk. This guy, which is 5 pounds of chicken. Now I've already cooked half of this, so I only have 2.5 pounds of chicken left. I don't know exactly how many chicken breasts that is. It feels like 4. But without further ado, let's get started cooking. All right, man, so I want to get this stuff cooking as fast as I can. So I'm gonna start with my chicken. I got big old pan here, and you're gonna want a lid for this if you want to cook it the way that I do. The lid basically just makes it so that it cooks a lot faster. And the way that I like to cook my chicken, for whatever reason, it takes a good little while to get it cooked and ready. So what I'm gonna do is I use regular pan for everything that I cook. I very rarely, in fact pretty much never, cook with butter unless a recipe calls for it specifically. Because usually, if anything, olive oil is a perfectly good substitute. And olive oil is obviously much healthier for you. So, we're gonna get this chicken on this pan. Now these things, tongs, these are gonna be extremely helpful for meal prep. This helps flip the chicken over rather than using a fork. If you plan to do meal prep a lot, which I do, these will be a worthy investment. If you're just trying, if you're not doing this frequently, you can just use a fork to flip your shit. But I highly recommend these if you do this frequently. All right, so now that the chicken is on the pan and cooking, it's time for some seasonings. Actually, I'm not using this. I don't know why I grabbed that. I like to use only a few seasonings for just about everything that I cook. And yeah, that's all I'm going to use for today is garlic powder and Lawry's salt. That's all you really need. So just a nice sprinkling of that. Good heavy sprinkling of garlic powder. If you can use fresh garlic, that's generally preferable. But again, we're here for fast, easy shit for a fast-paced kind of lifestyle. And garlic powder works just as well for that. So I'm gonna flip this over. So I've got it cooking on one side. I'm gonna flip it over. I've already seasoned the top side. I'm gonna flip the seasoned side down and season the underside that's already a little bit cooked at this point. Now, obviously, for some bodybuilders, Lawry's salt is not exactly going to be the best thing to put on your stuff, because if you're trying to cut down, lose some water weight for competition, then salt is the exact way to make that not happen. So, if you're doing bodybuilding, obviously, you can just skip the shit. I still highly recommend the garlic powder either way. Now, veggies. So this guy here is what I got for veggies. It is Oster basically just a big old cooking pan, bigger than any pan that you're gonna put on your stove top. You just plug this guy into the wall, it heats up, and you're ready to go. It's absolutely fantastic and really good for cooking a bulk amount of stuff. So we got this lying around. If you are trying to cook for yourself, I use this. This food all goes to me, right? Nobody else eats my prep food because it's frankly not that tasty. So, it will be worth it if you are just yourself cooking for yourself. If you plan to eat these prep meals quite a bit, then you will definitely find that it is worth it. Okay, so I got my veggies on here now. I just took them straight out of the freezer. The chicken I had obviously defrosted. The veggies, you can just pop on here straight frozen. They defrost pretty dang quickly. And I find that 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how soft you like your stuff to be, 20 to 30 minutes is generally gonna give you the best cook on them. I like to do the lower end. I like to do about 20 to 25 minutes. So I'm going to start, it is 12:40 right now. So I'm gonna start the clock at 12:40. At 1 o'clock, I will be taking these guys out. Now, back to the chicken. Oh, and I put a lid on this, by the way. Now, back to the chicken. Now, you're gonna wanna flip it a couple times. You don't wanna let it sit on one side for too long. So, now we don't need to season it again because there's not, any oil in this, any oil that's gonna wash off the seasoning that we already put on there. It's already stuck onto the side that's been cooked. So there's no need to season a third time. You're gonna get it a little over seasoned if you do that. And actually, I'm gonna change my words right here, right now, very quickly. I'm gonna put a little olive oil on here because it's actually getting a little bit of some black burnage going on here. So I'm just gonna toss a little bit of olive oil just to moisten up the pan just a wee bit. So we got the lid back on there. We got the veggies going, we got the chicken going, everything is good. We got the veggies. I got it on the highest heat that this thing goes because frankly, it is somewhat of a slow cooker. It does not cook at a very high heat, so that needs to just go at max to cook the stuff for time. And honestly, it doesn't harm the taste of the vegetables or anything. I find it's perfectly fine. Chicken, I like to cook at a slightly lower temperature, right? Sometimes if you put it on too high, it will burn the chicken, and especially if you forget about the chicken for a little bit, your shit's gonna get burnt up. So I put this on medium heat to cook. All right, guys, so the chicken is just about ready, it seems. Now, this is very beginner stuff, but obviously, a lot of you lifting bros are not particularly experienced chefs, right? That's not our forte. So, the way that you test and see if the chicken is done is you open it up a little bit and look inside, and if you see pink, that means it's not done. Now, the problem with this is this juicy ass chicken has got a lot of juice in it. So that does make it a little hard to see. It looks just about done. I'm gonna give it about 5 more minutes and then it should be Gucci. All right, fellas, shit's done. Let's take a look. So, the chicken turned out very well. I will never cease to be amazed by how much chicken shrinks when you cook it in a pan. I don't know if it's something that I do wrong. I don't think so, because the stuff tastes really good. But, I mean, like this chicken breast was probably about twice the size that it is now when I put it in the pan. When I put it in that big pan that I cooked the veggies in, it doesn't shrink nearly as much. So I'm very curious about that. But moving on to the veggies. So the vegetables are good. So they are just, they're just at the consistency where they're gonna be hard, they're gonna be crunchy enough. They're not gonna taste like mush, but they're not quite as hard as they would be fresh. And that's exactly where I want them to be. So I'm gonna take the heat off this by just unplugging that guy. Now, what I gotta do is let these guys cool off, let the chicken cool off, because I do store the vegetables in a Tupperware container, and I store my chicken in just a Ziploc bag. So I always get nervous that it's gonna like melt through the shit if I put it in when it's too hot. So now I'm gonna let this stuff cool down, and I'm gonna actually come back to this in another video where I'm gonna show you. It's gonna be a much shorter video. I'm just gonna show you exactly how I put it all together in my Tupperware, how I like to set up my meals, because I have a very specific thing that I do every single meal. So stay tuned for that. I will see you guys later on.